TIFU by asking my wife for a paternity test. This didn't happen today, but a few weeks ago. My wife of 4 years gave birth to our first child last year. Both my wife and I are blue-eyed and light-skinned. Our baby has a darker skin tone. Over the past 6 months his eyes turned a very dark brown. I had my doubts. My friends and family had questions. I read too many horror stories online. I asked my wife half-jokingly one day if she was sure the kiddo was mine. She stared daggers at me and said of course he is. I let it go for a while, but I still had a nagging doubt. So right after Thanksgiving I told her I wanted a paternity test to put my doubts to rest. She agreed. A few weeks ago I came home to an empty house. Wife and son gone. On the bed she left the paternity results. And a petition for divorce. Kid is 100 mine. Now I will only get to see him weekends and I lost the most amazing woman I have ever known. TLDR, I asked my wife for a paternity test. She decided she didn't want to be married to someone who didn't trust her. I'm gonna hazard a guess that this is just the tip of the unhappy marriage iceberg. Alternate universe, they gave her the wrong baby, he's still the father, lol. Should have recommended for both y'all to test because accidental baby swaps happen at the hospital. It's crazy to me how there are two seemingly opposite opinions that are both getting upvoted here. Some people say that he should have just swallowed the suspicion and not gotten it done. Other people say he should have doubled down on his suspicion and done the test without telling his wife. Probably should have phrased that with how you explained it to use, but also using how do we know our baby didn't get swapped by accident. 100 straw that broke the camel's back. You definitely handled the situation wrong, but I'm sure that's not the only reason she left. I strongly suggest you handle this with grace. You have a kid, so you're in each other's lives for a long time. Best thing you can do for everyone involved is maintain a pleasant relationship. Don't be petty, don't make the divorce more difficult than it has to be. It significantly benefits you to be on good terms with her. What I would have done. Ancestry DNA kits for Christmas, you all do them and then the child has the benefit of having the info later in life. You would find out immediately that way, and you wouldn't be going behind anyone's back. Wait, she petitioned for divorce a few weeks ago, and now custody is already settled? I know nothing about divorce law or custody law. Does it make any sense for everything to be settled in such a short period of time, or is this a flaw in the fictional story? I feel like a cursory Google search on genetics and dominant recessive genes could have saved you some trouble. Oh well. R.I.P. Have you looked back at either side and see oh hey, a grandparent had brown eyes or darker skin? You know the child is just an infant, it could simply just have been a mutation, or maybe you have family members who share the characteristics that your son shares. Why did you ask your wife instead of just doing it? You can consent to the testing of your kid's DNA, your wife wouldn't have to be involved. This is dumb on multiple levels. There's much more to this story. Very well written story for Reddit bait, I give it a 9/10. It's a little too clean and perfect though, try adding more unnecessarily details next time for authenticity. You doofus, your wife prob dyes her hair, anybody's family can have darker skin. Oh god, here come the Reddit relationship experts ready to read 14 levels too deep into this 2-paragraph post. A simple Google search could have saved you a lot of heartache and possibly your marriage, but I'm guessing this is just one part of a bigger picture. Life pro tip: if you suspect wrongdoing, don't ask the suspect's permission to investigate. Yeah. You fucked up. Some people are born melanistic dark, but not black in the sense that most people are familiar with, just as some are born albino. I had a friend born into a family of white-skinned, blonde-haired and blue-eyed people dating back generations, but he came out with dark skin, brown hair and brown eyes. He's been tested multiple times growing up, and he is 100 his parents' child. No cheating or baby switching. It's rare, but it happens. TIFU creative writing. Reddit has gone fully insane. Every thread ever before this, you must have full communication and transparency to work out trust problems in a relationship. Also, Reddit FTB should have deceived her fully and done the paternity test without her knowing. That sure ought to help the trust issue. Guys, learn to say this was our baby switched at birth. Both my husband and I are super Caucasian, on the surface at least. We had no idea our youngest would be born with light brown skin and coily, textured, super curly hair. At son's 2-year birthday party, a good friend pulled me to the side and asked, "Are you sure son is husband's baby?" It was hilarious, and 15 years later we still laugh about it. This is barely a creative writing exercise. Did your wife already post about this? I just read a post from the woman's point of view. Can't blame your wife at all. Didn't pay attention in biology, huh? How do people not know there was a zero need to blow up your marriage over this? Get a DNA test done without her knowledge. Honestly, paternity test should be mandatory if you're signing a birth certificate. Mom is never in doubt, of course. But the dad, even married couples have had surprises. Till people don't understand genetics. As someone who was told I was the father of a child that I was not, and she knew I was not, I have the opinion that a paternity test should be automatically given at the time of birth if the mother wants the man's name placed on the birth certificate as the father. This policy would eliminate a lot of grief, guilt, and mistrust for both parents by making it mandatory instead of a choice that the man would have to ask for after the fact. Velp. Don't have any doubts now, I suppose. Got what you wanted. OP, the kid is definitely biologically yours. Socially, now that's another category. I do wonder what the hell was going on in your relationship before this bit of straw on the camel's back that you only half-jokingly asked your wife instead of fully jokingly, or that you wouldn't leave it alone. I'm so sick of all these people making stupid comments and judging us. Let's do a test just to point out the obvious and shut them all up. Could have had your answer and pushed all the sus and blame onto other people. Hey, I've seen this one before. This post sounds made up. Rudimentary web search would have answered your questions about eye color. As a guy, I feel you have every right to inquire, but she also has the right to respond to how it makes her feel. The correct response is to have the test done without her knowledge. Can give you the peace of mind you deserve. I feel a paternity test should be mandatory when married, but I digress. If only you had taken high school biology. You should have opened a science book, dumbass Lamau. This is a more common psychological reaction to becoming a dad for the first time than you'd think. It's a reasonable question and a reasonable request. Instead of talking about how it hurt her to get her fidelity question, she robbed her child of his father. Find a better wife. There are a lot of very privileged people in this thread who clearly have never had to deal with being betrayed by people they trusted unconditionally. Or you can swab the kid without the mother knowing with a kid from CVS. I got downvoted to fuck for basically saying this would happen when someone posted on Reddit asking women how they would feel being asked to take a paternity test. Got called all sorts of names and told I hated men for saying this. But yeah? If you don't trust your wife, then that's the issue. If she cheated, then your lack of trust is warranted and the relationship should probably end. If she didn't cheat, she now knows you have no trust in her and the relationship should probably end. Asking this of your wife is just exposing this issue. Honestly, I feel like you should still do Ancestry or 23andMe, without the mom knowing. Could be a fabricated paternity test, and she just took off before you could ask questions. This is so sad. No one wins. If my husband had asked for a paternity test on any of our children, there would have been no coming back from that. A simple Google search gives the answer. Blue-eyed parents can have a brown-eyed child. What do you mean, she did the paternity test? If she does it, it will only confirm she's the mother. You are supposed to do the paternity test. So many people saying there's much more to this. I don't think so. He basically accused her of cheating without directly saying it. That's be a deal breaker for most people. You can definitely give birth to a kid with brown eyes even if you both have blue eyes. Genes go back generations. This was HS biology and not that fucking hard to understand. Double-edged sword. If your relationship is up to a point where you needed a paternity test to be sure and that she gets pissed off to the point of divorce if you ask for it, then it wasn't a rock-solid one to begin with. From both ends. TBH seems like there's more to the story. My husband and I both have dark hair and eyes, look tan all year around. Our first came out blonde blue-eyed. Genetics are tricky. Suspect OP is underplaying how he expressed doubts. This sounds like she got tired of having to prove she was loyal over and over. Babies are generally born with an eye color that changes over time. Wow, just wow, how else did you expect this to go? You could have easily done this yourself with a 23andMe, MyHeritage, Ancestry, etc. type kit. Next time just use 23andMe and keep it private. I bet $1,000 there's a fair bit more context to this story. You had two better ways to do that. 1. Make a paternity test without her knowing. 2. Suggest that maybe they could have switched babies at the ward, then take a combined test with your wife. I know a couple, one is half black and the other is black and their toddler is white. But, it's their kid. It looks just like the blonde and fair skin. Genes are weird. I could understand telling your wife you wanted a DNA test in case the baby was swapped at the hospital. You need to fix this. If you were really that concerned, you should have got the paternity test done yourself. You already know the kid is hers, it was your DNA they need to compare to the kid's, no reason to bring her into it at all. On the flip side, I am going to bet you already had a rocky marriage situation because this alone seems like a very trivial thing to end a happy marriage over. I am going to guess that there is more going on than just this side of things. Nesting moms don't blow up a marriage if everything was just fine until this FU occurred. You could have done it without telling her. You goofed, my man. Sorry. Pro tip: they sell some of these tests over the counter, or you can use 23andMe etc. They will link you practically without data. If you want a paternity test, your mom doesn't have to know. Maybe this is an unpopular viewpoint on my end, but in any circumstance I plan to have a paternity test on my end as soon as my kid is born. I just feel for both parties it's better and any assumed doubts would be put to bed early. I don't think Hopi is wrong here. What is the science on two blue-eyed people having a brown-eyed baby? You got exactly what you asked for. Tastes good, doesn't it?